Once upon a time in the bustling streets of Lagos, Nigeria, there lived a modest tailor named Adekunle. He was known for his craftsmanship and humble demeanor, a man of few words but many talents. Adekunle was married to Amina, a woman of ethereal beauty and quiet grace. To the outside world, she was just a schoolteacher, dedicated and passionate about educating her young students. Their life was simple and joyful, filled with the little pleasures of shared meals and long walks along the busy markets of their neighborhood. Adekunle loved Amina deeply, though they lived modestly in a small but cozy apartment above his tailoring shop. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the streets of Lagos, Adekunle returned home to find Amina seated unusually at the table, an array of documents spread before her. Her face bore a seriousness he rarely saw, which immediately filled him with concern. "Amina, what is all this?" Adekunle asked, his eyes scanning the official-looking papers. Amina looked up, her eyes meeting his with a mixture of anxiety and resolve. "Adekunle, there is something important I have never told you about my life before we met," she began, her voice steady yet soft. Adekunle sat down beside her, his expression one of confusion and concern. "You can tell me anything, Amina. You know that." Taking a deep breath, Amina continued, "Before I became a teacher, and before I met you, I was involved in my family's business back in South Africa. We were into real estate and investments, quite successful actually." Adekunle listened, puzzled by the revelation. "But why have you never mentioned this before?" "Because I left all of that behind when I moved here. I wanted a simpler life, one that I could choose for myself, not one dictated by wealth and expectations. And then I met you, and I knew I wanted to stay in this new life. But why tell me now?" Adekunle's brow furrowed in concern. "Because my past has caught up with us," Amina confessed. "My father passed away recently, and I've just learned that he left his entire estate to me. Adekunle, we are talking about a fortune that neither of us can even begin to imagine." Adekunle was speechless, his mind racing with the implications of her words. He had always felt content with their simple life, their love a shelter from the complexities of wealth and power. Seeing his overwhelmed expression, Amina reached out and took his hand. "I'm sorry I kept this from you. I never wanted the money to define our relationship. I love our life together, just as it is." Adekunle looked into her eyes, seeing the sincerity and the love that had always been the foundation of their marriage. After a moment of contemplation, he squeezed her hand gently. "And I love you, Amina, no matter what. We'll figure this out together." As they sat together, the weight of the revelation hanging in the air, Adekunle realized that their lives were about to change. But deep in his heart, he knew that as long as they faced it together, they could navigate anything, even a hidden fortune. In that small apartment above the tailoring shop, as the noises of Lagos buzzed around them, Adekunle and Amina embraced, ready to face the new chapter of their lives, fortified by the strength of their love and the unexpected twists of fate. The next morning dawned bright and warm, the streets of Lagos already buzzing with activity. Adekunle and Amina sat together in their living room, surrounded by piles of financial documents and legal papers. The reality of their new situation was sinking in, and with it came a host of decisions to be made. "I need to go to South Africa," Amina said, breaking the morning silence. "I have to understand exactly what my father left behind. There are properties, businesses, it's all too much to manage from here." Adekunle nodded, his thoughts heavy. "I'll come with you," he offered. "You shouldn't have to face this alone." Amina smiled weakly, grateful for his support. "Thank you, Adekunle. I don't know what I'd do without you." Preparations for their trip began in earnest. Adekunle arranged for his sister to look after the tailoring shop while they were away, and Amina contacted her family's lawyer in South Africa to schedule meetings and property visits. The day of their departure arrived swiftly. Packing their bags with a mix of apprehension and anticipation, they headed to the airport, leaving behind the familiarity of their simple life for the unknown complexities waiting in Johannesburg. Upon arriving in South Africa, the contrast was stark. The opulence of Johannesburg's affluent neighborhoods was a far cry from the bustling, chaotic charm of Lagos. They were met at the airport by Amina's family lawyer, Mr. Van Zyl, a tall man with a serious demeanor and sharp eyes. Mrs. Amina, it's good to finally meet you in person, Mr. Van Zyl greeted her formally. We have a lot to cover and not much time. I've arranged for you to visit your father's main estate tomorrow. The drive to their accommodation was quiet, each lost in their own thoughts. Amina was overwhelmed by the sudden shift in her reality, while Adekunle was trying to reconcile the image of his wife as a schoolteacher with the heiress to a vast fortune. Their first stop the next day was one of the central pieces of the estate, a sprawling vineyard on the outskirts of the city. As they toured the property, Amina listened attentively to the manager's rundown of operations, her mind racing with all the responsibilities that now fell on her shoulders. The vineyard has been profitable, and with the right management, it could expand significantly, the manager explained, showing them rows upon rows of grapevines under the hot sun. Adekunle watched Amina as she interacted with the staff, her natural leadership qualities coming to the fore. She asked insightful questions, her keen mind quickly grasping the business aspects she had long left behind. Later that evening, as they sat in the quiet of their hotel room, Amina turned to Adekunle. Seeing all this, I realize how much of my past I've ignored. But I want to make sure that whatever decisions we make, they're right for us, not just for the business. Adekunle reached out and held her hand. Whatever you decide, I'm with you. We'll make these decisions together. As they planned their next steps, exploring the properties and businesses her father left behind, Adekunle and Amina grew to understand the scope of their new reality. Each day brought new challenges, but also new opportunities to strengthen their bond, proving that together, they could navigate any change, no matter how daunting. As the days turned into weeks, Adekunle and Amina's understanding of the estate deepened. They traveled across South Africa, visiting various properties and businesses, each unique in its challenges and opportunities. The diversity of the holdings, from urban real estate in Cape Town to a diamond mining operation in Kimberley, was staggering. Amidst this whirlwind of discovery, Amina found herself grappling with her identity. The world of wealth and responsibility her father had crafted was impressive, but it felt alien to her current life. Her heart longed for the simple days in Lagos, teaching children and living a life defined by love and modest means. Meanwhile, Adekunle adapted to their new reality with a mix of awe and caution. He was supportive, always by Amina's side during meetings and site visits, but he also missed his tailoring shop and the community he had left behind. The sharp suits and formal settings were a far cry from his fabric-strewn workshop and the casual banter with customers. Their journey took them next to a game reserve owned by Amina's family, a vast land teeming with wildlife and natural beauty. It was here, in the tranquility of the wild, that Amina felt closest to making a decision about their future. As they toured the reserve with the conservator, the enormity of her father's legacy hit her. This land has been preserved for generations. Your father was particularly fond of this place, the conservator shared, gesturing expansively. He believed in conservation and wanted his children to continue his work. Amina walked alongside Adekunle, watching a herd of elephants at a nearby watering hole. The peaceful scene sparked a realization within her. Maybe this is what we should focus on, she mused aloud. Preserving these lands, continuing something meaningful that's bigger than us? Adekunle nodded, squeezing her hand. It feels right, he agreed. It's not just about managing wealth, but about preserving a legacy that can make a difference. They spent the next few days at the reserve, discussing potential conservation projects and community involvement initiatives. Amina felt a growing sense of purpose, imagining a future where they could blend their values with the responsibilities of her inheritance. One evening, as they sat watching the sunset over the savannah, Amina turned to Adekunle. What if we could use the resources from the estate to fund educational programs here? Combine our passions for education and conservation? Adekunle's eyes lit up with the idea. That sounds like you, Amina. Using this unexpected gift to give back, to create something lasting. Their discussions grew more animated, filled with plans and projects that could bridge their past life with their potential future. They talked about sustainable tourism, scholarships for local children, and partnerships with global conservation efforts. Each conversation brought them closer, their shared vision for the future cementing their resolve. They knew returning to Lagos would not mean returning to the same life. They were changed, their world expanded, but their core, rooted in love, simplicity, and a desire to make a difference, remained unaltered. As they prepared to leave the reserve and continue their exploration, they did so with a renewed sense of partnership. The journey was far from over, and many decisions lay ahead, but Amina and Adekunle faced them together, ready to blend their newfound responsibilities with their deep-seated values. With their vision for the future beginning to take shape, Adekunle and Amina continued their journey through South Africa, each day adding a new thread to the tapestry of their evolving roles. Their next stop was a bustling textile mill in Durban, a property that once supplied fabrics worldwide and was a testament to her father's diverse interests. As they toured the facility, guided by the mill manager, Mr. Khumalo, Amina was struck by the potential for revitalizing the business. The machines, though slightly outdated, hummed with activity, and the workers, skilled and attentive, showcased their craft with pride. This mill has been part of the community for over 30 years, Mr. Khumalo explained as they watched vibrant fabrics roll off the production line. But there's much we can improve, especially in modernizing our equipment and expanding our market reach. Amina listened intently, her mind racing with ideas. Could we explore eco-friendly materials? Perhaps start a line that supports local artisans? Mr. Khumalo nodded enthusiastically. There's a growing market for sustainable and ethically produced fabrics. It could indeed set us apart. Adekunle, ever the craftsman, admired the patterns and textures of the fabrics. Imagine combining these with traditional Nigerian styles, he mused, his imagination alight with the possibilities of fusion between his and Amina's worlds. Their discussions sparked a series of meetings with designers, environmental consultants, and business strategists. Amina was in her element, leading with a vision that married profitability with sustainability. Her confidence grew with each decision, her leadership style infused with compassion and an acute business sense. Meanwhile, Adekunle found a new creative outlet. He began sketching designs, incorporating the textiles from the mill into ideas for modern, culturally rich clothing that could appeal to markets both in Africa and abroad. His involvement brought him closer to Amina's world, his support unwavering, his role evolving from partner to collaborator. As they worked on transforming the mill, they also reached out to community leaders to ensure their plans aligned with local needs and opportunities. One such meeting brought them to a community center in Durban, where local artisans gathered to sell their crafts. Meeting with these artisans, Amina saw an opportunity to integrate community-driven initiatives into the mill's expansion plans. What if we collaborate directly with local creators? She proposed. It could provide them stable income and bring authentic South African designs to the global stage. The idea was met with excitement and a few reservations, which they addressed with thoughtful discussions about fair practices and mutual benefits. Adekunle, with his keen eye for design and detail, facilitated workshops that helped artisans refine their crafts to appeal to broader markets without losing their cultural significance. Each day brought new challenges, but also new opportunities to make a meaningful impact. Their vision for the textile mill began to crystallize, a hub of innovation and tradition, driving economic growth while preserving cultural heritage. As their time in Durban drew to a close, Adekunle and Amina reviewed the progress they had made. The blueprint for the mill's future was ambitious yet achievable, a reflection of their shared commitment to blending business with benevolence. Their journey was far from over, but as they planned their return to Lagos, they knew they were not going back to the life they had left. They were returning with a mission, equipped with new ideas, inspired by the possibilities, and ready to weave their newfound purpose into the fabric of their lives. With their plans for the textile mill set into motion, Adekunle and Amina prepared to return to Lagos, their hearts and minds enriched by their experiences. The flight home was a quiet one, each absorbed in their thoughts, contemplating the integration of their new ventures with the life they had always known. Upon their return, the familiar sights and sounds of Lagos greeted them like an old friend. The bustling streets, the vibrant markets, and the warm smiles of their neighbors brought a sense of comfort and belonging that filled their hearts with joy. Yet, with their return, there was a palpable change in their demeanor, a newfound purpose that emanated from them both. Their first task back home was to reconnect with the community. Adekunle resumed his work at the tailoring shop, where he was met with enthusiastic inquiries about their travels. He shared stories of South Africa, the textile mill, and the plans they had in store, igniting excitement among his customers and friends. Meanwhile, Amina organized a community meeting in their modest apartment, inviting local educators, business owners, and young entrepreneurs. She shared her vision of integrating the lessons and successes from South Africa into local ventures, particularly focusing on education and community development. "I've seen how much can be achieved when we align our businesses with our community's needs," Amina explained to the gathered crowd, her voice filled with passion. "We want to bring that vision here, to create opportunities that benefit all of us." One of the key projects they proposed was a partnership between the Lagos schools and the conservation efforts they supported in South Africa. Amina outlined a program that would fund local scholarships through profits generated from ecotourism and sustainable practices at the game reserve. Adekunle, too, had plans to contribute. Inspired by the textile innovations, he proposed setting up workshops for local tailors to learn new techniques and incorporate sustainable materials into their work. "We can elevate our craft and open up new markets for our products, both locally and internationally," he said, his eyes sparkling with excitement. The community's response was overwhelmingly positive. People were eager to participate, drawn by the prospect of growth and improvement. The couple's dedication to their home and its people strengthened the trust and respect they had always enjoyed. As they set these plans in motion, Adekunle and Amina also faced the practical challenges of managing a vast estate from another continent. They hired a team of local and international experts to ensure that their businesses in South Africa were aligned with their ethical standards and long-term goals. Regular video calls, reports, and visits became part of their routine, each step carefully measured to ensure the success of their ventures. Their lives became a delicate balance of local engagement and global management, each day a blend of grassroots activities and high-level strategic planning. But no matter how busy they became, they always made time for each other and for the community that supported them. One evening, as they walked hand in hand through a newly inaugurated community center in Lagos, Adekunle looked at Amina and said, "Do you ever think about how much has changed?" Amina smiled, squeezing his hand. "Every day. But I think we've managed to find our roots and spread our wings at the same time." Indeed, they had managed to ground themselves in their values while reaching for new heights. Their journey was a testament to the power of vision and the strength of community, a continuous path that promised to bring about change and prosperity for many. As they looked ahead, the future was bright with the promise of more achievements and deeper connections, their hearts full and their spirits unwavering. As their projects in Lagos began to take shape, Adekunle and Amina felt a deepening commitment to their dual mission of local impact and global presence. Their days were long, often stretching into the evenings, but each accomplishment fueled their resolve. In the bustling atmosphere of Adekunle's tailoring shop, new machines hummed, a sign of the innovation he had brought back from their travels. Young apprentices moved between the cutting tables and sewing machines, each eager to learn the new techniques that Adekunle introduced. He had become not just a tailor but a mentor, shaping the next generation of craftsmen and craftswomen. Meanwhile, Amina took charge of the educational programs that were quickly gaining traction. Schools across Lagos were now participating in the scholarship program funded by the conservation efforts in South Africa. Children who had never dreamed of accessing higher education were now filled with hope and ambition, their futures bright with possibility. Their home became a hub of activity, with community leaders and international partners frequently gathering to discuss expansion and impact. Amina found herself at the center of these discussions, her expertise and heartfelt dedication drawing respect and admiration. The success of their local initiatives soon sparked interest from other regions. Requests for collaboration and advice came from far and wide, prompting Amina and Adekunle to think about the next phase of their journey, scaling their impact. "It's about creating a model that can be replicated," Amina suggested one evening as they reviewed feedback from a recent community workshop. "Each region has its unique needs and strengths. If we can adapt our approach to fit different contexts, the potential for growth is immense." Adekunle nodded, his mind already picturing the diverse applications of their work. We could start with a pilot program in another region, perhaps the eastern parts of Nigeria, where textile and craft traditions are rich but underutilized. Motivated by this idea, they began planning a series of exploratory trips to various Nigerian states, aiming to engage with local communities and understand their specific needs and resources. Each trip brought new insights and connections, gradually building a network of communities that shared their vision of sustainable growth and cultural preservation. Back in Lagos, their efforts were starting to show tangible results. The textile mill in Durban, under their guidance, had launched a new line of eco-friendly fabrics, which was now being exported to markets in Europe and America. The success of this venture provided the necessary funds to reinvest in community projects, creating a virtuous cycle of prosperity. Adekunle also launched an initiative to showcase African fashion on the global stage. He organized a series of fashion shows featuring designs made from the sustainable fabrics produced at the mill. These events attracted international buyers and designers, further elevating the profile of African craftsmanship. As their network expanded, so did their family's involvement in their ventures. They hired a skilled team to manage the day-to-day operations, allowing them to focus on strategic growth and personal connections with the people their work affected. One particularly warm evening, as they walked through a local market, observing the vibrant life of their city, they discussed the future. "We're planting seeds," Amina said, looking around at the bustling market. "Each project, each partnership, is a seed that has the potential to grow into something extraordinary." Adekunle smiled, his eyes reflecting the market lights. "Yes, and like any good gardener, we must nurture them, give them what they need to thrive." Their journey was far from over. With each step, they expanded their horizons, not just geographically but in their understanding of what they could achieve together. The road ahead was filled with challenges, but also with endless opportunities to make a lasting impact on their world. With their initiatives gaining momentum and beginning to flourish, Adekunle and Amina dedicated themselves to weaving the intricate fabric of community engagement with even greater vigor. Their commitment was not just to growth, but to sustainable, inclusive growth that benefited all stakeholders involved. Their next venture led them into the heart of eastern Nigeria, where they aimed to rejuvenate local crafts that were at risk of fading away. Amina had devised a plan to integrate these traditional crafts into their expanding textile business, ensuring that the cultural heritage could be preserved and celebrated through modern enterprise. The couple spent weeks traveling through villages and towns, meeting with local artisans, weavers, and craftsmen. They held workshops where these artisans could share their skills with younger generations, facilitated by Amina and Adekunle's team. These workshops were not only about teaching but also about learning what these communities needed to keep their traditions alive in the competitive global market. In one of the workshops, a seasoned weaver named Chinedu approached Amina with a bright gleam in his eye. He carried with him a beautifully woven fabric that depicted the story of the region's history through intricate patterns. "This is what we are fighting to preserve," he said, spreading the fabric before her. "Our history, our stories, told through threads and colors." Amina was deeply moved. She assured Chinedu and his peers that their stories would not only be preserved but also shared far and wide. "We'll integrate these designs into products that will be sold globally," she promised. "And not just as artifacts, but as living expressions of your community's spirit and skill." Back in Lagos, Adekunle was developing a network of retail outlets that would feature these artisan products prominently. He envisioned stores that felt like galleries, where each item had a story and each purchase supported the continuation of a legacy. Meanwhile, the couple's conservation efforts were also evolving. The game reserve in South Africa had become a model for environmental stewardship and was now part of an international network of conservation sites. This success inspired them to explore similar projects in Nigeria, where poaching and habitat loss threatened much of the local wildlife. Amina organized a summit, bringing together environmentalists, government officials, and community leaders to discuss the creation of a wildlife conservation park in Nigeria. The summit was a melting pot of ideas, with vigorous debates and passionate discussions about the best ways to balance development and conservation. The couple's days were long, their schedules packed with meetings, site visits, and strategy sessions, but their energy never waned. Each success and every challenge fueled their drive to do more, to reach further. One particularly challenging project involved revitalizing a neglected agricultural region by introducing sustainable farming techniques. Amina spearheaded this initiative, bringing in experts to train local farmers in methods that would increase yield without depleting the soil. As they worked, the couple often reflected on the journey they had embarked upon. It was a path that led them through myriad landscapes, both literal and metaphorical. Each project, each community they touched, added layers to their understanding of what it meant to truly make a difference. Their impact was now visible, tangible in the thriving communities and flourishing businesses that dotted their path. Yet, they knew there was much more to do. The fabric of community they were weaving was expansive and ever-growing, each thread interconnected, each color vibrant and full of life. As they planned their next steps, Adekunle and Amina remained grounded in their mission to empower and uplift, driven by a boundless love for their people and a relentless hope for the future. Their work was a testament to the power of vision and the enduring strength of community bonds, a continuous journey towards a more prosperous, sustainable world. Energized by their successes and the positive impacts of their projects, Adekunle and Amina continued to push the boundaries of what they could achieve in their community and beyond. Their next endeavor was perhaps their most ambitious yet, launching a technology hub in Lagos to foster innovation and provide young entrepreneurs with the tools they needed to succeed in the digital age. Amina had been inspired by the vibrant tech scenes in cities like Nairobi and Cape Town and saw the potential for similar success in Lagos. She envisioned a hub that would not only support tech startups but also integrate these businesses into the broader objectives of their other projects, creating synergies that could propel them all forward. The planning phase was intense, involving numerous stakeholders from government officials to seasoned tech investors. Amina led the initiative with a clear vision. The hub was to be a place of learning, innovation, and growth, equipped with state-of-the-art facilities and access to international networks. Adekunle, meanwhile, focused on incorporating elements of local culture into the hub's design. He worked with architects and designers to ensure that the building itself was a testament to Nigerian creativity and resilience. The structure was designed to be eco-friendly, utilizing sustainable materials and incorporating green spaces that not only beautified the area but also promoted environmental consciousness. As the tech hub took shape, they launched a series of hackathons and workshops, attracting bright minds from across the country. These events were designed to identify talents and ideas that could be nurtured within the hub. One such event led to the discovery of a young woman, Nkechi, whose innovative use of AI for agricultural planning caught Amina's eye. Amina provided her with mentorship and funding, helping her to develop her idea into a viable startup. Parallel to the tech hub, Adekunle revived an old project that had been close to his heart, a cultural festival that celebrated Nigerian heritage through art, music, and fashion. This festival was intended not just as an entertainment event but as a platform for local artisans to showcase their work and connect with larger markets. It was also a celebration of the textiles and designs coming out of their projects, blending tradition with modern aesthetics. The festival quickly became a highlight of the local calendar, drawing crowds from across West Africa and even overseas. The success of the festival proved a valuable point. Culture and commerce could coexist and even enhance one another, generating both economic and cultural value. In the midst of these ventures, the couple maintained their commitment to community engagement. They regularly held town hall meetings to discuss their projects and gather feedback. These forums had become a core part of their approach, ensuring that their initiatives remained aligned with the community's needs and aspirations. With each new project, Adekunle and Amina not only contributed to the economic landscape but also to the social and cultural fabric of their community. They were creating a legacy that went beyond financial success. They were building a resilient and dynamic community that could withstand the challenges of the future. Their lives were a testament to the power of combined visions, Amina's strategic mind and Adekunle's creative spirit working in harmony. Together, they were not just changing their world. They were setting the stage for generations to come, nurturing a future where innovation, culture, and community could thrive together. With the technology hub in full swing and the cultural festival becoming a celebrated annual event, Adekunle and Amina continued to expand their influence, weaving a complex tapestry that blended modern innovations with traditional values. Their efforts were not only transforming the local economy but also shaping a new identity for their community, one that valued both heritage and progress. As they looked to further this transformation, Amina initiated a new project aimed at enhancing local healthcare through technology. Drawing on the successes from the Tech Hub, she proposed the development of a digital health platform that would connect rural clinics with urban hospitals, providing much-needed support in regions with limited access to healthcare. Amina collaborated with tech developers and healthcare professionals to create a system that allowed for remote diagnostics and management of common health issues, leveraging the country's growing mobile network. This platform also aimed to provide training for rural healthcare workers, giving them access to up-to-date medical information and virtual support from specialists in more developed areas. Meanwhile, Adekunle focused on expanding the educational outreach programs that had been so effective in conjunction with their conservation efforts. He established a series of vocational schools that offered training in sustainable agriculture, renewable energy, and ecotourism. These schools were designed to empower the next generation with the skills needed to thrive in a rapidly changing world and to ensure that the community's growth was sustainable. The vocational schools quickly became centers of innovation themselves, as students developed new technologies and methods to tackle local environmental and economic challenges. Success stories from these schools were regularly featured at the cultural festival, inspiring a sense of pride and possibility within the community. In their personal lives, Adekunle and Amina found new rhythms amidst their busy schedules. They made it a point to have dinner together every night, discussing their day's work and planning future initiatives. These moments were precious, grounding them in their shared vision and commitment. Their partnership extended into every aspect of their projects, with Amina leading the strategic development and Adekunle ensuring that each initiative reflected the community's culture and values. Together, they hosted international delegations and presented at global conferences, showcasing their projects as models of sustainable development. The impact of their work was now visible not just in Lagos but across Nigeria. Other communities began to seek their advice on how to replicate the success of the Tech Hub and the vocational schools. Amina and Adekunle responded by setting up a consultancy wing within the Tech Hub, dedicated to helping other regions develop their own sustainable projects. As they planned these expansions, they remained deeply connected to their community in Lagos. They were regulars at local events, and their support for various local artists and entrepreneurs helped foster an environment where creativity and innovation could flourish. Their journey had taught them that change was not just about big projects and initiatives but also about the small, everyday decisions that shaped the lives around them. They had become stewards of a future that was unfolding in beautiful and unexpected ways, driven by a community that had embraced change and was now reaping its benefits. As they walked through the vibrant streets of Lagos, now buzzing with a new energy and filled with new opportunities, they knew that their work was far from done. Each success sparked new ideas, each challenge a reminder of the work still ahead. But together, they were ready to continue weaving this ever-expanding tapestry of change, driven by love, guided by vision, and supported by an ever-growing community of dreamers and doers. The years had woven a rich tapestry of achievements and transformations under the stewardship of Adekunle and Amina. Their relentless pursuit of a better community had seen the blossoming of Lagos into a beacon of sustainable development and cultural resurgence. As they stood on the precipice of yet another decade, they took a moment to reflect on the journey that had brought them here and to contemplate the path that lay ahead. Amina looked over the expanse of the city from their new office atop one of Lagos's rising skyscrapers, a symbol of growth and progress. Below, the streets were alive with the hum of everyday life, each person a thread in the vibrant tapestry they had helped to weave. The Tech Hub had become a cornerstone of the city's economy, drawing in young talents from across the continent, eager to make their mark on the world. The healthcare platform had revolutionized access to medical services, dramatically improving life expectancy and quality of life in previously underserved areas. Adekunle's cultural festivals had grown beyond Lagos, becoming a national celebration of Nigerian heritage that attracted tourists and historians from around the globe. His vocational schools were now the gold standard for education in sustainable practices, with alumni leading environmental initiatives across Africa. Yet, with all these accomplishments, the couple knew their work was never truly finished. "There's still so much to do," Amina said, her voice a mix of determination and awe. "Every project we start, every initiative we support, it's like planting a tree. We may not always see it grow to its full height, but we nurture it as best we can." Adekunle nodded, his gaze following a group of schoolchildren visiting the tech hub. "And each tree provides the shade for the next generation," he added thoughtfully. "We've started something here, Amina, something that will continue to grow long after we're gone." As they planned for the future, Amina and Adekunle decided to establish a foundation that would ensure the sustainability of their projects. The Adekunle and Amina Foundation would support innovation and community development, funded by the profits from their various enterprises. It would also provide scholarships and research grants to aspiring scientists, artists, and entrepreneurs who shared their vision of a sustainable and culturally rich Nigeria. To celebrate their 20 years of work, they organized a grand event, bringing together everyone who had been part of their journey: partners, employees, community leaders, and family members. The event was a reflection of their life's work, a festival of music, art, and technology, showcasing the best of what Nigeria had to offer. During the event, Adekunle took to the stage to address the crowd, his heart full of emotion. "When Amina and I started this journey, we had a vision of a better community, a thriving Nigeria where everyone could have the opportunity to succeed," he said, his voice resonant with the weight of their shared experiences. "Looking around tonight, seeing all of you here, I know we've started to achieve that. But this is not the end, it's just another beginning." Amina joined him, her presence a calming and powerful complement to his passion. "We are grateful for every moment, every challenge, and every success," she added. "Thank you for being part of this journey. Let's continue to dream big and work together for the future we all deserve." As the night drew to a close, the sky above Lagos lit up with fireworks, each burst a vibrant declaration of their ongoing commitment. Adekunle and Amina stood hand in hand, watching the colors reflect in each other's eyes, their spirits buoyed by the community they had helped to build. The horizon beckoned with promises of new challenges and achievements, and they were ready to meet it together, forever driven by their love for each other and for the community that had become an integral part of their legacy.